Hey guys, it is Carly here bringing you your Tuesday review on body bags. It is week 252, I believe, and this is another theme week. The theme was 90s week, so I decided to go with the movie Nightbreed from the year 1990. I actually got this from Jerry. He sent it to me for my birthday, which I thought was pretty cool of him. You know, it's a Scream Factory, and it is the director's cut of the film. And the reason I sort of went with this movie is because it's been on my to-watch stack for quite a while now, and it's one that I've been, kind of curious about. It never seemed like something that would be really up my alley just based on the cover and the fantasy aspects to it, so I never really tried to seek it out myself. So I was kind of happy that Jerry did pass it on to me just because it gives me a reason to actually watch it. And it came out in 1990, and I know a lot of people really love this movie. I've seen it on multiple people's top 10 horror movie lists of all time, so I thought, maybe I'll give it a chance and see if I really like it or not. So the general plot here is you follow this character named Boone, and he kind of has like a troubled mind. He has these bad dreams, or just weird dreams in general, about this town called Midian, and this is basically like an underground city with these monsters who are, it's just kind of ran by these monsters, and he's having these dreams, so he goes to this psychotherapist who turns out to be a pretty bad guy who's actually a serial killer, in his free time. That is kind of his the thing that he does besides being a psychotherapist, and he kind of sees Boone as this weak character, so he finds a way to try to convince Boone that he is actually the serial killer. That way the therapist kind of gets off the hook in that way, and Boone ends up seeking out this, he finds out that this land of Midian is actually real, so he seeks it out and sees what it's all about, and he kind of becomes one with these people that they call Nightbreed, who are essentially hiding out from humanity. So, sorry, it's kind of hard for me to put this plot into words. I've tried to do this video multiple times because I keep messing it up. It's not, I guess, all that complex, but to actually put it into words, for some reason, I just am struggling with it. But, that's kind of your storyline, and then you have Boone's girlfriend Lori and some other people who are trying to get to the bottom of what is going on with Boone, because, there's a part in the film where he actually is shot dead, and then his body disappears, and so you have this character of Lori trying to figure out what happened to him, what this secret city is all about, and then you also have the aspect with the serial killer running around trying to put an end to these Nightbreed and stuff like that. So there's, a decent amount going on in this film. One thing I will say right off the bat is I really liked all the characters in this movie for the most part. There's a lot of characters in it because you do have a lot of monster characters as well as like cops and, side characters, if you will. But the main characters with Boone and Lori and, what's his name, Decker, who is the psychotherapist played by David Cronenberg. I think they all do a really good job. They are very likable characters. I especially like the female, Lori. I forget what her name is as an actress, but I really liked her character. I thought she was, likable enough to get into her story and really care about her and things like that. And you also like Boone because he's just kind of this innocent dude, and he really plays the character well. He's just a dude kind of going through this hard time because he's got this troubled sort of mindset and he has no idea what's really going on and things like that. So really like the characters. That was definitely a plus for me in this movie. I will say I had to watch this movie twice, which I very rarely do with films because I'm just not a fan of watching stuff back to back unless it's like my favorite movie ever, like The Shining or something like that. Once I watch a movie, I just feel like when I rewatch it, I'm not as into it as much. But with this movie, I felt like I had to give it a rewatch because even though I paid attention and grasped a lot of what was going on, I felt like there was stuff that I missed out on. And it's one of those ones where if you kind of turn away, you might miss details and stuff like that. And that is one of the reasons why these type of movies really aren't for me. Like I said, this is more of a fantasy slash action adventure slash horror movie. You know, definitely horror. It's definitely horror. There's definitely horror elements to it, but you definitely get the fantasy vibes from it quite a bit, and for me, I always just find those to be a little bit confusing and hard to follow just because they don't particularly interest me. And another thing is this movie is very long. It runs 2 hours, so you know, rewatching it, I was kind of like, the beginning portions I was able to really pay attention to the first time around, and I kind of rewatched it just to kind of grasp what was going on towards the end. And even then, I feel like I didn't pay as much attention as I probably should have, you know, during the whole ending battle scene and things like that between these Nightbreed people and the regular people, and all this just actiony stuff kind of goes on. I'm just not really all that into that personally. It's really hard for me to kind of review a film like this just because that is just not for me, and I know a lot of people really love and respect this film. So some other good things to it is it does have some pretty decent effects that I feel still hold up. There are actually some kind of scary parts in this movie, and I also like the, you know, just the Decker character and the serial killer aspect going on. I like the mask that he wears. I think he does a pretty solid job in this film, and I also like the settings. The settings are really nice to just look at, very fantasy-ish. Even though I don't really like the genre, I do like fantasy sort of settings and things like that. I just find them to be pretty cool to look at, and yeah, but all in all, it's definitely a good movie with good acting, very likable characters, and interesting story, to say the least. But for me personally, I'm not a huge fan of films like this, and it's kind of hard for me to review it, as I just said, because I'm kind of seeing it as, you know, the way I would see it, and not someone who would be into these movies would see it, if that makes any sense. You know, it's just not the subgenre that I'm all that into. So for me, I just gave Nightbreed a 6.5 out of 10. That might seem sort of low to some people, but for me, I just, definitely not a movie for me, but I think 6.5 is kind of a fair rating because it's still, you know, above average. It's just, not something that I would want to rewatch for fun necessarily, but I could definitely see why other people would. So yeah, that is Nightbreed. Once again, guys, sorry that, you know, it was kind of hard for me to review this film, and I might not have talked too much in detail about it. It was just kind of hard for me to follow. It was easy to follow from the beginning portions, I will say, but towards the end, I was just kind of falling out of it, to be perfectly honest, even on second watch. But yeah, definitely not a bad movie if you're into those type of movies. So Nightbreed, 6.5 out of 10. Thank you guys for joining me once again for this Tuesday review, and I will see you next week.